Back again with my friend Alan Bays. Thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. And what we're going to talk about is getting over the shakes. And this is something I get so many emails about, and this is something I really wanted to dive into and talk about. But I'm sure you have a lot more experience than I do. I feel like as a magician I do. And there's different ways to get over the shakes in different realms. Hypnotism, mentalism versus magic. So in your experience, everyone goes through the phase. They're growing up, little 10-year-old Alan Bays, shakes for performing for people, and just kind of talk about the process to get over it.
I had the shakes all the way up until my late teens, probably, when I started performing. So the first thing for everybody to remember is it's natural for everybody. I mean, even some of the most famous singers out there will still get a little bit of stage fright sometimes before they hit the stage. So understand first, it's natural. The second thing I realize is there's usually two reasons you'll shake before you perform. The very first is nervousness. You're afraid that it's going to go wrong, that you're going to mess something up, it's not going to work, they're not going to like it. And the second is adrenaline. Now, adrenaline is always going to be there. Even to this day, sometimes when I start to perform somebody, I have a little bit of that adrenaline built up. And as I start to perform, you might notice a little bit of those shakes. But once you get into it, once you start having that good relationship with the person you're performing for, the adrenaline will subside, the shakes will subside, and you'll hit your zone. You'll hit your comfort zone. Nervousness, on the other hand, that's a beast you have to deal with before you start performing. And I think the best way to get over nervousness, number one, first and foremost, perform for people. Yep. Get used to it. Get out there and do it. Take your opportunities to perform and be bad. Because you're going to have to get that out of your system.
Yeah, you have to learn.
You're going to have to go through your failures of performance. That's how you learn. It's how you get better. And you also learn how to deal with those scenarios when they arise and how to brush them off and move on. You have to understand that even when you make a mistake, if you're comfortable with it, you'll find your out. You'll find your way around that. They will never notice that you made a mistake.
If you know how to recover.
If you know how to recover, which everybody should know. I mean, sit down with your tricks and think, what could go wrong here? And now make a contingency plan for that. If I spread my double and it spreads and they notice, what am I going to say? What am I going to say when they say, oh, that was 2 cards?
Right.
Instead of going, okay, you caught me, which you never want to do. You never ever want to do. You say, oh, that was 2 cards. The mistake was, yeah, there was 2 cards. It's not supposed to be.
Right.
That's a different thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's a different animal all the way. That was supposed to happen. Oh, that's a mistake. And then you carry on with the next thing.
Sometimes doing an ambitious card routine, I guess I'll use double lift. I'll have the card, the 3 of hearts, as my double. That's the spectator's card. But I'll do a triple lift on accident. And I'll say your card jumps to the top, but then when I know it's not their card, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, sorry, I took 2 cards. I'll say I took 2 cards when I really took 3, so then when I show them that, they're like, oh, okay. That's just a quick cover-up that I can do for it. It's just, oh, hold on, I took 2 cards. Now, take this, bury it in the deck, jumps right back to the top. Ambitious card routine, so many things can go wrong because it's a whole routine, so you have to have a solution for every single situation. But go on back to what you're saying is just like, yeah, don't let them catch you. Just kind of be like, just kind of agree with them. Oh yeah, what happened?
Absolutely, and they're going to react based on what your reaction is. Literally. That was a perfect example, and that is a form of redirection. What you just talked about. Mm-hmm. You have redirected their thought process. So now instead of them thinking, okay, now you're lifting 2 or 3 cards there. By stating, oh, it actually grabs an extra card there. Now, as you proceed, when you do the legitimate double, their mind, that's the furthest thing from their mind.
Oh, yeah.
They're knowing that that's not what you're doing now. Because you just realized before I made the mistake and I'm fixing it. It's redirecting their thought process. So, back to the shakes and the jitters. Just remember that everybody gets them. And don't ever expect that these are going to disappear one day and they're going to be completely gone. I think the wrong approach is to saying, how do I get rid of the jitters? I think that's the wrong approach. I think the correct approach is, how do I deal with the jitters when I get them? I think that's an
when I get them.
When I get them. absolutely right. You know, there are times that I've never experienced it. There's times that I've gone out and just steady as a rock, steady as a flat lake, you know, and just everything works perfectly. There are other times when maybe a little bit more is on the line. I want to impress somebody a little bit more, that it raises your anxiety level a little bit.
And the adrenaline, too.
And your adrenaline. And just learn how to deal with that adrenaline. I go on stage in front of hundreds of people on a regular basis. Before I hit the stage, there are times that I'm experiencing what many people would say stage fright. I've got the jitters, I have the shakes. And a few tricks that I like to do is some of the obvious things, breathing exercises. Take 3 solid, long, deep breaths before you hit the stage. Another trick that I like to use is just before I go on, I'll think about something that amuses me, something that I think is really funny. Whether that be a joke or a scene in a movie or an experience that I've had. Therefore, just before I go on stage, I'm smiling. I'm in a natural state of happiness and humor.
Right.
And it shows in my face. I'm smiling. I'm happy. And that's the first thing that people see when they see me. And you get greeted with a warm applause, and it builds your confidence. But you have to perform. You have to get out there and do it. You have to do it regularly. I did it for many, many years. I would learn the best new tricks and put all the time and effort into learning my magic and learning my moves. And I would sit around at home and do it in front of the mirror.
Yep.
And my biggest audience maybe was my close friends and my family, who have seen the same trick over and over and over again.
Majority of you guys and those same friends and the family kind of getting tired of the magic, or eventually will be. And that's why you have to get out of your comfort zone and go out and perform for friends of your friends. So like kind of acquaintances, people that you don't really know, or just strangers entirely. And that's going to allow you to perform the same effect over and over and over again until you get numb of the effect. And it's just like, okay, I understand how to handle the situation. I've perfected it now. And one of my fans actually told me a amateur magician will practice until he can perform the trick. A professional magician will practice until he can't get the trick wrong. So that's an idea when practicing, but you absolutely do have to get out and perform for strangers, for new people, for people that you don't know. And that's where you're going to learn the most. That's where you're going to learn the fastest. And the bottom line about the shakes is, like you said, everyone gets them. So if you're asking, how do I get over the shakes? You can't. It's not that you can't. It's just that you can't just skip that step. Everyone's gone through that step. Every major performer, not just a magician, singers, actresses, theater performers, sports stars, everyone gets the shakes who are put in that spotlight. And you just only get over it by performing and becoming comfortable in your skin and your handling and your mechanics of controlling the cards, controlling your audience, controlling your pattern, your storylines. And so there's really the best way to get over it is the same way everyone else before you and after you has to get over it, and that's to get out and perform.
Absolutely, that's a critical step. You know, you made a statement there a minute ago, and it reminded me of a statement that's very similar, and that is an amateur magician changes tricks constantly, and a professional changes audiences. And when you think about that, pretty profound.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now, I think about growing up. You said mirror. You perform in front of the mirror. I've always been into video editing, as you guys know, so I've always had a camera, and I've filmed myself doing tricks over and over and rewatching the footage. You guys have webcams, camera phones nowadays. You can go back, see what you're doing wrong, and watch your angles. And that was the best way that I really learned as far as that. But then going out and performing is a completely different beast. And even nowadays, I met Freddie Wong and Brandon Leach of Freddie W. And I want to edit and work and make friends with those guys. And I performed 2 tricks for them. Profit, which is a relatively new trick. And so there's like room for error whenever you're performing new tricks. And then I performed the invisible deck for Brandon. And the invisible deck is my favorite trick It's a trick that I've had since I was 13, 14 years old. I think it's the most powerful card trick you can do on the spot, no preparation. It's my go-to effect to impress someone. I've done it over 1,000 times, but just doing it to Brandon, it must have been the adrenaline. I started like shaking as I was like taking the cards out. But as I was doing it, you said breathing exercises. In the middle of that, I noticed my shaking, and it just continued through with the effect, and didn't show up on camera, but I knew without a doubt that I was shaking. I was just hoping they didn't notice it. But that, like, even now, after 8 years of magic, performing an effect that I've done it thousands of times, the shakes will still come up. And it's just something you have to embrace, really. You have to get over it. You just have to accept it. Be like, this is a part of magic, and this is where I'm going to learn the most.
Sure, and when it happens, there are certain circumstances to where you can use that to your advantage. A prime example, the story you just told. If you're shaking and you realize that you're doing the invisible deck and you're shaking and it's obvious and evident to the person you're doing it for, maybe step back and just, shake your limbs off and breathe heavy and just tell them, I'm sorry I get this way, but this is so incredible that every time I do this, it's just, I can't believe it myself. It's just, use that to your advantage. Use that adrenaline that shakes to, I'm about to show you something that's just going to blow your mind. And it freaks me out every time I see it.
And it just redirects it all. It's just like, oh, he's not really nervous. He's subconsciously to them.
Absolutely.
Because they'll believe it if you say it, and if it does come to fruition, if it really does blow them away, then they won't look at it as, oh, he's nervous.
Absolutely right. I mean, look at any good theatrical movie. Take X-Men, for example. If you're looking at Magneto and he's getting ready to do his thing, sometimes you'll see him really concentrate and struggle with it and really, he's emoting. You're seeing the emotions coming from him. It's selling the illusion of what he's doing. And it's okay to have a powerful magic moment and to use those shakes and everything to your advantage. It will work, believe me. I've done it 1,000 times.
Oh, absolutely. So, best word in closing, just kind of to recap, best way of getting over the shakes.
Perform. Get out there and perform. Take every opportunity that you can to perform for people. Eventually, you're going to, whatever trick it is that you're working on, it's going to breed familiarization. It's going to be muscle memory. It's going to be something that you are comfortable with, and that's really the secret here. You have to be comfortable with what you're doing, and the only way that you're ever going to become truly comfortable with it is to get out there and perform for people. I'm a firm believer in performing in front of the mirror, to learn your moves, to get your technique down, to set up a video camera, to videotape yourself, what you're doing, but it is impossible to misdirect yourself.
Impossible.
The only way you're really going to learn that technique and learn what's really working for real people is to get out there in front of real people and perform. And once you got your technique down, now you can practice your misdirection. How are people perceiving this? Is it working? And you'll learn a great deal. I used to have failures that would just want to shut me down, and I would want to give up magic for a little while because it just isn't working. But now I look at any little thing that goes wrong as a learning opportunity. What went wrong? How can I fix it so it doesn't happen again? And take every one of those little instances as a learning experience. It'll make your magic stronger.
Absolutely. You're
going to get a comfort zone. You're going to get very comfortable with what you're doing.
Right.
Then once you're comfortable, you're not going to have so many issues. You're going to have confidence in what you're doing.
Absolutely. And once you can gain that kind of, I get questions. How do I get confidence? Well,
practice.
It's practice. There's really no set method to take this pill and then you'll be super confident. It's all confidence is all internal. That almost has nothing to do with magic. You could be the best mechanic, stack the deck, organize the cards, but if you can't exude this confidence and be this storyteller, this entertainer, then you won't have that confidence. And it's all inner game, which is a completely different monster to tackle.
Absolutely. And if you feel that you're not confident, pretend that you are. There's an old saying in magic that says, a magician is an actor playing the part of a magician. And pretty deep, very real, and very true. If you don't have the confidence, pretend that you do. Become the magician. There's a saying hypnosis that Anthony Jacquin coined in one of his books, Reality is Plastic, great book. Become the hypnotist, well, become the magician. Be the part, be who it is.
Not be a
magician, become the magician. Because you are the magician in their eyes. You're the one that's in front of them. We've all heard when we perform people, you're the best magician I've ever seen.
Right.
You know, you're the most incredible magician I've ever saw. You heard it tonight when we were out having a good time. That's the way people are going to respond to you when you show them some magic, when you give them a moment. You will become the best magician that they've ever seen at that moment, up close and personal. Become the magician.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, my friend Alan.
Thank you so much for having me back.
We're gonna have you on for a couple more. We have a lot more to talk about. We're going to talk about making money in magic and in hypnosis. We still haven't even gotten into hypnosis yet, that's
Sure.
what you're all about, is hypnosis.
Absolutely.
And I'm starting to get into hypnosis too, thanks to Mr. Bays over here. And I'm excited, and it's taken me down this incredible road of power, just like hypnosis. I feel it's almost like too powerful. It has really become the epitome of the saying, with great power comes great responsibility, and that's how I already feel with hypnosis, and
Absolutely.
how powerful it's scary how powerful it is.
Sure.
And so we're going to tackle that, and that's just one more thing that you guys can maybe add to your interest and widen your horizons, get out of your comfort zones. Other than that,
And I would out there for everybody that's listening that may be sitting there thinking, well, I'm about the magic and I'm not really so much interested in the hypnosis. Hypnosis can complement your magic and turn it into and evolve your magic into something much more powerful, much more of a true internal cerebral experience for your spectator and your participant. It's incredibly powerful stuff out there.
And again, it just leaves the idea of, this isn't a trick that we just saw. This was beyond that.
Absolutely.
And that's incredible. So, this is Alan Bays. Will you tell them where, because you're hypnosis in the field out here in California,
Indeed.
any website you have that you can shout out, or...
The website under construction at the time will be allenbays.com. ALLENBAYS.
And what do you specialize in? What have you been doing lately?
Hypnosis. Stage hypnosis and mentalism, but primarily hypnosis.
Okay, awesome. allenbays.com. Check it out. And we'll have you in here next time for another episode.
Looking forward
Appreciate
to
that.
it.
Be inspired to learn, inspired to disturb, and always rise above.
Keep me